All right, Psalms 92. Can I have my mic? Now, Psalms 92, verse 12. Let's try to read it together. Let's do it. 1, 2, go. Look how you've made all your devoted lovers to do what? Each one growing in victory, standing with strength. You have transplanted them into your heavenly courtyard where they are thriving before you. Can we do that together? 1, 2, go. You've transplanted them into your heavenly courtyard where they are thriving before you. We ask for the blessing on his word in Jesus' mighty name. I want to speak to you on the power for thriving and flourishing in life. Let's pray. Father, bless this moment in Jesus the Christ's mighty name we pray. Amen. Please be seated. Every one of us desires to flourish and to thrive in life, and it is a desire of the Almighty God that you flourish and you thrive in life. God expects you to bloom in the midst of scarcity. God wants you to enjoy a blooming life in the midst of scarcity. God expects you to prosper in the midst of hardship. So it is the will of your Father that in the midst of hardship, you should be prospering, that in the midst of adversity, you should be blossoming. It is the will of God for you to grow and keep growing despite the deprivation that is in our city, in our country, and in the nations of the earth. God expects you to be fruitful even in barren times. This is the desire of God for you and your loved ones. It is the will of the Almighty God that you flourish. And to flourish means everything that I've said. He wants you to thrive. And to thrive means to advance, to keep advancing irresistibly, to keep advancing, not minding obstacles, oppositions, to keep advancing, keep making progress, not minding all the limitations and the challenges that may be before you. Let me say this very clearly. Nothing stops you like the excuses you embrace. Nothing stops you like the excuses you embrace. There is no challenge you are faced with that someone has not faced and overcame. So it is important for you to understand that there is nothing you cannot achieve if you set your mind on it. To thrive means to continue to grow forcefully. To continue to grow forcefully. That is what it means to thrive. All right? It means to continue to succeed, to continue to prosper, not minding limitations, challenges, barriers, or what people say is impossible. It means to succeed powerfully, radically, and resiliently. Like a palm tree, nothing stops you from growing. That's what happens when someone thrives. Thriving people are people that met with challenges but overcame them. They met with obstacles and they overcame them. They don't take excuses. They don't make excuses. I'm going to say this again. Life will offer you excuses so that you can negotiate your destiny for excuses. Life will tell you, can't you see that nobody likes you? And so because of that, there's no need for you to pursue the dream. Once you accept the excuse that life offers you, you have traded away your possibilities. Let me say again, there is nothing you're going through today that someone has not overcome. I was talking to I think it was my sister. I was talking to my sister some times ago, and I said to my sister, I said, not far from us, I know women in this church. 2 of them that I can tell, 3. One was seated here today. I said the first one that I can tell you of, she arrived Abuja with her son with only 20 naira. Her husband sent her out of his house. The husband sent her packing with nothing. She only had 20 naira with her. And upon arriving at Abuja, the only thing she could do was to get pure water and use sachet water to bath her son. And she cried and she said, God, if you bless me in this city, I will honor you. That woman has since gone from a woman that entered Abuja with 20 naira. A woman that came into the city. But listen, when she entered, everything told her you can't succeed in this city. Everything in this city told her you can't prosper in this city. But she refused to accept the excuses. So guess what she began to do? She will go and get fairly new clothes and take them to Banex Plaza and stay there at Banex Plaza and be trading fairly new clothes. And then when people are passing by, she says she remembered this day, there was this man and his girlfriend that were passing by, and she knows how to taunt you to buy things from her. So this guy was passing by with his girlfriend, and she said, oh God, bye now, see your girlfriend, they look my things, bye. And the guy just looked at her, what kind of woman is this? And she kept on going after him, bye, you know. And the guy just looked at her and he just passed by. The next day or so, the guy came back and he said, Madam, I love how aggressive you are. He said, let me ask you a question. He said, what if I give you something to sell? Will you? She said, sir, except if it's human being, anything to sell, I will sell. That was how it was in the days when FCDA people normally give out papers of land. That was how they gave out the paper of a land to sell. That was how she made her first million. And when the man saw how fast she was able to sell, he started giving her papers. And that was how she began to sell in millions. And before you know, she ended up selling almost most of the lands in Durumi. Where you have American International School, where you have Christ Embassy, she sold most of the lands for Christ Embassy. And from there, she moved over. One day she called me, she said, sir, I'm going over to Guzape. She said, I have conquered Durumi. I want to go and conquer Guzape. And she entered Guzape, sir. Instead of looking for a fancy office, she went and got a small container. I went there to see the container. A woman who has a house in Durumi, she has a great office in Durumi. She left her office in Durumi, went over to Guzape, got a small container, managed to create an office in that container. And from there, she will go and meet this person, sir. Do you have land to sell? I know somebody that wants to buy. And that was how she began to run around and began to sell lands in Guzape. The land she has sold in Guzape today is simply mind-boggling. She has gone from just having a small container now to having one of the biggest plazas in the whole of Guzape. A plaza with shopping complex plus Airbnb in it with a place for meetings and all of that, all in one place. Somebody accepted an excuse. Somebody was saying, the reason why my life is like this, my husband left me with nothing. Somebody else came, sent away by the husband with nothing but 20 naira, entered Abuja, humbled herself, was willing to get to do anything that it will take. No excuses. People who thrive don't take excuses. People who thrive don't make excuses. Everybody wants to celebrate Elon Musk today. How many of you have followed the SpaceX story? How many of you have watched the SpaceX launch? Some of you have not. Okay. You've watched it, sir. How many times did we have the blow when they want to launch it? How many times did they blow out? Did they explode? 3 times. Did you hear me, ma? He wants the rocket for every time he wanted to launch a rocket. As they begin the launch, it explodes. That is $1 billion. 1 billion explodes. If Elon Musk was a Christian, his pastor would have told him, my son, the hand of the Lord is not in this. If Elon Musk was you, he would have said, no, this is to show me that God doesn't want me to do this. That was enough excuse for anybody to back out and say, this is not the will of God. But people who thrive don't take excuse and they don't make excuse. Please write that down. Thriving people don't make and they don't take excuses. I can tell you under God, you are where you are because of the excuses you have overcome, and you are where you are because of the excuses you have embraced. Your life can be better if you can get rid of excuses. I said that, man. Your life can be better if you can get rid of excuses. Wake up and pray. Oh my God, my stomach is turning me. Get on your knees to pray. Call that man. Give him a call now. But do you know he may not answer my call? Hey, shut up and call. Trust me, what I'm sharing with you today, if you will embrace it, it will change your life. Anyway, you know what, sir? Some of you have excuses to make because you have backup. You have backup plan. You have backup. That's why you have excuses. If you are like some of us who have nothing to fall back to, so there's no excuse though. No excuse. You put your head in it and you either win or you sink. And that is what makes men succeed. I love one of the generals who will carry his troop across the waters. And every time he carries his troop across the waters, as soon as all of them have crossed over to the other side, he will then carry a detonator and put in the bridge. And they'll say, sir, what are you doing? He said, no, just don't worry. I just want to do something. And then whilst they are watching him, he puts detonators on the bridge. And then he will call someone. He said, explode it. And they blow up an entire bridge. And the guys will ask him, they say, sir, what if these guys begin to pursue us? How are we going to cross over to the other side? He said, that is exactly the reason why I blew up the bridge. So you don't have an excuse. So you don't have a bridge to go back to where you're coming from. You are here to fight, win, or die. We're made to understand that he led one of the most successful groups, because once the guys know that there is no turning back, the guys fight with all the ferocity they can gather, with all the viciousness they can gather. They fight and they win. Options are the reasons why you've not maximized potentials. You have too many options. You have too many options. You have too many options. And people who are multi-talented and multi-options, who have multi-options, usually die below average. People who have so many gifts. I can sing, I can dance, I can run, I can write, I can do this. People who have multiple talents, most times die below average. Because when I start this one and there's trouble, this is stressing me too much. I will make a lead this one. This singing is beginning to stress me too much. Then I move now to writing. As I start writing, I get to one place I don't know. Should I put full stop or comma? The whole thing is looking confusing now. This writing self, it be like say you get the way I say be. Which one is the next one now? Acting. Acting. Go and act now, yeah, amen. And then when you act, they now call you. They say, sorry, ma, we would have you take the role, but we found somebody better than you, which can use less than business stuff. This one too, know they work. Which one again? Broadcasting, freelancing. Your life has started going on a free lane. and that's what happens. So in 5 years, you have done close to 10 different things. This one, that one, that. So you are rooted in nothing. Because you are multi-talented. Anytime it becomes tough here, there's a bridge you can always go over. But check those who blow up the bridge and stay focused on one thing. Maximum concentration on one thing. Hello, sir. Lionel Messi. What are the things he does? What does he do? Sorry, what games does he play? Huh? Football. How about basketball? Okay, LeBron James. Huh? Basketball, right? Fantastic. And then Kevin Hart. Fantastic. Somebody say acting, right? Sorry, in acting, what does he act? Comedy. So can you see one gift, different expression? Same rice, jollof, fried, but it's still what? Let me ask your neighbor. Ask your neighbor. How about you? Which one be your own? No, let me ask the person. Which one be your own? Importer, exporter, 2 years ago. Prophetic ministry 1 year ago. General contractor this year. Just when people are beginning to say, okay, she's into import export. Where is she? Say, nah, she has left it. Please write this down. Thriving people don't make or take excuses. Thriving people don't. Flourishing people don't. If you are going to flourish and thrive, there is something you need to master. It is called devotion. Devotion. So one of the power that you need to generate in order for you to succeed in life, in order for you to flourish and thrive, one of the powers you must generate is the power of devotion. The power of devotion. If I don't share this with you, I will not have helped you. The power of devotion. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 7, the Passion's translation. Don't think for a moment that you know it all. For wisdom comes when you adore him with undivided attention. Please hear me and hear me well. Wisdom comes when you adore someone with undivided attention. You get results when you have undivided attention or devotion to a thing. You never maximize what you don't give maximum devotion to. Please write that down. You never maximize what you don't give maximum devotion to. Haphazard devotion produces haphazard results. Maximum devotion produces maximum results. You don't get the best from a thing you don't give your best to. I want to say that into your consciousness. Don't expect the best from a thing you've not given your best to. It's a power of devotion. It's a power of devotion. Check anybody who is succeeding in anything. There is maximum devotion. I watched Elon Musk as the SpaceX exploded. He sat there, he was looking at it. In my mind, I'm like, this guy is going to, this is the end of it. And the guy called his engineers. He said, can we revisit the whole system? Let's look what went wrong. And they were able to find something that went wrong. And they went back again. He got another 1 billion. Assembled another spacecraft. That one began again. Boom! That one exploded again. Even the engineers who were working with him at that point, they said within themselves, even them have lost faith in themselves that this is not going to continue. But I called them back again. Let's do it again. Devotion. 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 That's why they are billionaires and they are not children of God. You know why? They are operating the principle that is universal. It's called the principle of devotion. God will be wicked. God will be wicked to creation. God will be an unjust God to find somebody whom he created, give him maximum devotion to an assignment, and God will withhold harvest from the person. That will be a wicked God. Did you hear what I just said? If a Hindu is devoted to a thing, that Hindu will succeed. If a Shintoist is devoted, he will succeed, because devotion is a universal law. Wherever there is devotion, there will be result. There will be result. Haphazardness. Nothing kills Christians like haphazardness. We are not, see, our devotion our devotion is controlled by result. If the result don't come quickly, I give up. I told my sister, I said my wife has done only one business in the last 22 years. More than 22 years. I said she has only done one thing. Were there no opportunities? Don't we have the capacity to move into something else? Stayed in one place. So it is from that one place now she's feeding other things from that one place. Devotion. Devotion is maximum dedication to a priority. Maximum dedication. And please, as I'm talking to you, I want your mind to go as far as you can think. Any aspect of your life where you are not getting maximum result, that area lacks devotion. Did you hear what I just said? Soma, if my marriage is not doing well, what is the probable cause? Somebody is not devoted to that marriage. Period. It's not the devil. Somebody is not devoted. Period. Your marriage is not working. Somebody is not working it. Somebody is not devoted. That marriage is not a priority to somebody. And you know what I'm talking about. Just behave like I'm not talking to you. Because I see a woman now trying to hit her husband. Say, I don't tell you. I see one man using Bible to point at his wife. See? No devotion. Distinction comes from devotion. Distinction comes from devotion. How many of you passed a subject you did not like in the university? You passed it without studying it. You passed it with distinction. They gave you A1. You had 94. A subject you don't like, you didn't give attention to. If you have that kind of result, you know what they call a win? Distinction. Distinction in life comes from devotion. You want to be distinguished, get devoted. You want your marriage to be distinguished, get devoted. You want your career to be distinguished, get devoted. Your ministry to be distinguished, get devoted. Until what you give in gets better, what you get out will never be better. Devotion. I pray that today you will tap into the power of devotion. A pastor who is not devoted to his church will not see the church grow. A business person who is a busybody in other people's business. Hey, madam, how your business is today? Always about other people. Your own business. No time, no dedication of time to your business. You can't have distinction from something that lacks devotion. Your children. By the grace of God, my children are going to turn out right. Really, by accident. No time for the kids. No dedication towards them. Let me say this. I can tell you for sure, it takes a lot to raise quality children. Daddy, you can tell us that one. It takes a lot to raise quality children. My wife is here. She will go to sleep because she knows that there's a houseboy at home. My job, I'm the houseboy. My son's chat is after midnight. Hi, Dad. How you doing? I have to respond. 2 a.m., 4 a.m. I pray, I open my phone, I see his call. I have to respond. Sometimes we'll chat 1 hour. Talk. And when he calls, I just want to talk to you, Dad. I say, hi. You know something on campus? Yeah. My job is to what, sir? Just to listen. I can't shut him up. I can't tell him, I need to rest. He needs to talk. But nobody told me. If I had known, maybe I would not pray for him to come to this world. But now he has come. The price to pay to have a quality child is called devotion. Devotion. Your child is like, get out. Go and look at my father. Mommy. I said, go. Am I the only one? Am I the only one that gave back to you? Am I the only one? You like having children, but you lack time for them. No devotion. And later, by the time they start manifesting from 13, you'll now be saying, what is this? What is what? This is the harvest of your investment. Devotion. I have never seen a sustainable, distinguished achievement that is not predicated on the strength of devotion. Never. No practice. I've not seen a professional who have risen to the top of this game that lack devotion. I've not seen one. Please, I'm here to challenge you, to let you know that if it has to walk, it must be walked. Because we live in a generation whereby everybody, the distance between success in this generation of social media, the distance between you and success is like this. Because once you open it, When you see the way people are brandishing success online, it looks very easy. This thing is easy. Oh. Somebody say devotion. Come on, talk to me. Say devotion. Music ministry, if it's going to work, what, sir? It's devotion, sir. What music ministry is devotion. And you know what, sir? Music ministry will be devoted to you if you are devoted to it. Music ministry does not refuse you the doors that should be open. It will never refuse you if there is an input of devotion. Now, you cannot have general devotion and have the exclusive success. Until your devotion is unique, your success will be similar. If all we have is choir rehearsal, the only time you rehearse is with the choir, you are going to be having choir success. That is why in basketball, the most distinguished basketballers, after the team has rehearsed, they have their personal coach. Sir LeBron has his own coach, other than the coach that trains his team. Some of them have a pitch other than the pitch where their own mates train. After the training of their mates, they set time apart. Again, when others are saying we are tired, they still have hours extra. You see, the extra you do that others don't is what makes you extraordinary. Somebody say devotion. Devotion. What is devotion? Total commitment. Total commitment. Total dedication of yourself to something or to someone. Total dedication of yourself to something or to someone. Total commitment of yourself to something or someone. This is what we all vowed to when we all got married. So when I was saying I do, so it was a day when I was swearing an allegiance. It was a day when I was making a vow of devotion to my wife. It was a day when I was saying to my wife, I will be totally committed and dedicated to you and nobody else. If my wife finds my commitment and my dedication to somebody else other than herself, it is a violation of my devotion to her. A promise that I made. And I'm saying this because we are in an era whereby the common thing you hear about Gen Z is that they are not loyal for a long time. And all over the world now, what employees are saying is that Gen Zs don't last at work. That once anything is not going their way, they just simply fire. They fire the organization. Am I correct? Yeah. They fire the organization. And what they don't know is that they are building a track record of I work small time, yes, small time, yes, small. They don't know the compounding effect of somebody later looking at your track record to say, you've worked in how many places? Something is wrong with you. They don't know the compounding effect. Devotion is the bedrock for distinction. Total commitment, total dedication to a cause, total dedication to an individual. In the light of what we are talking about here today, we are talking about total commitment and dedication to God, who alone can make you to flourish and to thrive in life. What do you dedicate? What do you commit to God? Totally. Number one, your choices. Please write that down. Your choices. When there is total devotion to God, what does that practically means? It means we dedicate to God our choices, our decisions. We dedicate to God our abilities, our talents, our gifts. We dedicate to God our resources, our ambitions. We dedicate all of that. So when I'm dedicated, when I'm devoted to God, all of these things are dedicated to Him. My choices, my preferences. So let me give you an example of my preferences. How many of you have preferences here? Things you prefer. Amen. Okay, so let me break it down for you. I like breaking it down. So, before I married my wife, I said to myself, I want to leave Nigeria. I want to marry an American or a white woman. So, Pastor Bimbo Odukoya looked at me. She said, come here. She said, the Lord is telling me that your wife is in Nigeria. I said, what? Which God? I said, Mama, my ministry is global, so I want a global wife. Already I was imagining a white woman in my house, a white woman. I just imagine myself play with her hair. White woman. Amen. See me, we are coming to the platform. Praise God. Sweetie, can you please address the church? Hi, everybody. How will you feel? Your mama is a white woman. Won't it be fantastic? I miss it. You no go sweet. That's mediocrity affecting you. So imagine. Not from Warri, not from Delta. Somewhere from Louisiana. From Chicago. Your mama. Eh? Mommy, Belu pointed nose. Your life will be straight. Focus. So that is a preference, right? The first thing I had to bury as soon as God said, this is your wife, the first thing I must bury is my preference. Preferences you don't bury will become bridges out of your marriage. You wonder why some of us stray out of marriage? Preferences we've not buried. I'm talking to you now. Sister, look up. You that always like big guys, and God no reward you with big one. If you don't bury your preference, one day you will hear, how are you? Your life will change. Preferences. Am I talking to somebody in the house of God here? I'm going to preach. I'm coming close to you too. Preferences. Help me look at your neighbor and say, what's your preference? Yeah. Sorry. Why, Pastor Nee, why do we have men jumping after some girls outside of their marriage? A particular girl. Because she's wild. She's crazy. When the girl come, when he goes to the girl's place, she'll say, fling me. Roll me. Turn me. You are crazy. Push me. And he was like, yes. She would tell him, run. He will run. He has become a madman. That is his preference. And most of us, those preferences were things we were exposed to before we became Christians. BDSM, masochism, whips, flogging, carry whip, blindfold, tie him to bed, flog him. As she's flogging him, say, yay. Yay. Now you are married to a church girl. No flogging, only scripture, prayer. Shkapalakayata. Flog me. Instead of flogging you, she's blessing you. Hit me. No. She said, take it gently, baby. Take it easy. Be calm. Mbo. I came from psychiatric hospital. All of us were lunatics. No normal. Where I'm coming from, we are not normal. The only thing that normalizes us is lagatine. Pashago, the way you are shaking your head, you are making me question where you came from. Am I talking here? Preference. I wish I can take the message of devotion to its root, break it down for you to understand. Not all this long church language speaking. You know, the church is used to so many high phonetic, high sounding words that's making no impact. Messages that have no practical application to our life. And yet we'll be like, wow, today the message was fire. What did you learn? Nothing. How did it change you? Nothing. Preferences. The first thing, one of the things we lay down when we become devoted to God, one of the things we lay on the altar, our preference. My preference doesn't matter where his will abides. We lay aside preferences in the presence of the will of God. Once the will of God is revealed, the preference of man must die. It must die. Sir, it is, can I break it down small here? Should I come close? I'm afraid. I'm devoted to him. You are devoted. Okay, so watch this carefully. We say where the will of God prevails, man's preference must die. Is that okay? So what were the things you liked before you became born again? What were you exposed to? What were you exposed to? And you know, when you are not a sinner, the things you like shows that you are upside down. Your life is upside down. When a man is pursuing 5-year-old girls, 12-year-old girls, sleeping with 6-year-old girls, a matured man, you prefer small girls. That's what you have in Thailand. It's in our country here too. So in Thailand, people pay millions for them to bring them young virgins that are 12 years old. People pay heavy money for them to sleep with small girls. There's a pride that I was the one that disvirgined her. And after you are done, she now joins the company of the unwanted. You are looking for the fresh ones again. Please watch this. That man then becomes a Christian. Don't forget what he used to like, small girls. Now, the problem with salvation is that it changes your spirit. It does not remove your memory. Salvation does not make you forget. It forgives. There's a difference between forgive and forget. Salvation brings God's forgiveness. It does not make man forget. That's why when you left church, you still remember where you came from to church. You still remember your house. When you left the altar, Father, I give you my life. God says, I'm forgiving you. The moment you went out, you remember the car that brought you to church. You entered the car. So salvation does not make you forget. You can't leave the altar and forget the name of your girlfriend. You can't leave the altar and forget the website you normally go to watch pornography. You can't. When you give your life to Christ, the website will not disappear. Skapalaka. Father, now that I've given my life to you, all things are passed away. So as soon as I get home now, the website has disappeared. Monica is no more in existence. It is after you give your life that the battle with preferences will begin. How many of you understood it like that? How many of you say, Rev Sam, that's what I faced? Raise your hands. Yes, preferences. So years after you are born again, you are still battling with preferences. That's why the Bible says, be you transformed by the removing of your mind. Removing. Renewing. Did they say by the renew of your mind? No. It's going to be continuous. You know why? What you entered in your life will take a lifetime to change. Things we got ourselves exposed to. It will take every day as the Holy Spirit brings this one to remembrance. My God, I used to like bad things. So what am I doing with small girls of 15 years old? What does the Bible say? What does the word of God say? I want to expose myself to the will of God so I can bury my preference. Are you catching what I'm saying here? So as I begin to read the word of God, I get to now realize it is uncleanness. It is ungodly. I see it from God's word that my preference is against God's will. And no matter how enjoyable my preferences are, I must give up my enjoyment because I want to be submitted to God, to whom I am devoted to. It is dangerous to be finding joy in what hurts God. Write it down. It is dangerous to be finding joy in what hurts God. It is dangerous to be enjoying what is displeasing God. Devoted people give up what they enjoy in order to please God. Devoted people, they give up what they enjoy in order to please God. Oh, my time is up. Hallelujah. So what are the things that we lay down? What are the things that we totally give to God so that our lives can flourish, our lives can thrive? This is the secret you don't know about people who are thriving and flourishing. You see their success, but you don't see what is happening behind the scene. These are individuals who have surrendered their preferences to God. God, now waiting I would like to do be this, but because of you, nevertheless, not as I will. Can you see what I'm talking about here? The burial of preference. My preference is that this cup should pass over me. That's my preference. And he prayed for 1 hour. Father, 1 hour. Can you imagine a man that will show up at the tomb of Lazarus and say, Lazarus, come forth. And a dead man of 4 days will come. Short prayer. Peace be still. Short prayer. Storm calm. Father, I thank you, for thou hearest me always. Bread multiply. A man who prays short prayer before the most difficult problems is now praying the longest prayer over the shortest issue. Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass away from me. Isn't it funny to hear that Jesus said, Father, I thank you for thou hearest me what? Always. When it came to the matter of preference, the Father will not hear him. You know why? The Father will not speak to you over what the Father has revealed to you. He already knows what the will of the Father is. The Father and himself has entered into an agreement as to what is to do. You can't be asking the Father whether it is his will for you to sleep with somebody's wife when you already know his will. You can't. Lord, Father, is this possible that this, if I steal this government money, we'll be able to use it to build church? Did God speak? Those are the moments when God will not speak because you know his will. Papa, I don't know why God is not talking, because his will is clear on what you are praying about. Lord, I don't know. Papa, I don't know. I've been praying. There's a guy that wants to marry me. And you know, when women start using their leg to, Papa, I don't know. Like you're having epilepsy. You understand what I'm saying? Papa, I don't know. When you start seeing hand moving, leg moving, like, Papa, I don't know. I've been praying. I don't know why God is not answering me. Over what? Papa, there's this guy. He's a nice guy, Papa. When a woman starts marketing a man, something is wrong. He's a very nice guy, you Papa. He's just a very nice guy. And Papa, I've never met a guy. In fact, Papa, even in our church, that's why she will now destroy everybody in church. Even in our church, Papa, all the brothers, I've tried some of them. They are very just bad brothers. All these brothers in our church, they are wicked brothers. But this particular guy, Papa, is a fine guy. Papa, in fact, the only thing, no, is just that he's a Muslim. So, but apart from that, Papa, in fact, this one is a Muslim that I think is even better than a lot of Christians. Like you're shaking up and down. So what's the question, Papa? I just wanted you to pray, because I've been praying to God. God has not spoken. What is he to speak again? Once has the Lord spoken. Has the Lord said something about the unbeliever and the believer not being yoked together? Has God ever said something about that? My sister, because of you, he will not speak again. You are not somebody that will make God to be speaking again. He has spoken already. If you want to know what he's saying, 2 Corinthians 6:14-18, come out from among him. Pack your bag. But Papa, how about the car he bought for you? We return it. Papa, I will be back to trekking. You will trek finally. The same thing with you, guy, brother, that brought the car that Mama gave you. Sorry, Mama was. You will take the car and say, Mama. You see, Royal, you are laughing. You will go to the woman and say, Mama. Big Mama. It's me, come. She said, no, come on, darling. Sorry, Mommy, I'm not darling today. I'm just coming from church. I came to drop. It's drop off. Mama, you are my mom. Wake up. You are my mom. No more again. Don't call my number. I wish you the very best. You're a nice woman. You'll be nice to me. God will bless you. In fact, if you are willing to come to church next Sunday, Uber will come and carry you. I will arrange one to come and carry you. But not me. I'm not Uber driver. You don't want to hear the truth anymore. The church of today. But that's Christianity for you. Preferences must be laid at the altar. Personal choices. Devoted people lay their choices at the altar. What is my choice? I wanted to be a geologist. Pastor Oye Adeboye wanted to be a VC of the University of Ibadan. Pastor Kumuyi wanted to be a distinguished mathematician. Bishop Abioye wanted to be a distinguished architect. But in the presence of the lover they are devoted to, all choices were laid to the ground. When it comes to devotion, we lay down our what? Our choices, our ambitions, we lay them down. We lay them down. My time is up. I love you so much.